Welcome to Metal Welding Lecture Series by Professor Joyjeet Ghosh.
This is the third lecture of a series of lectures.
This lecture will be on fundamentals of arc welding. He will be discussing about physics of arc welding, arc initiation methods, touch start method and field start method. He will also discuss the arc welding equipments. Arc welding power sources is discussed. Inverter type IGBT power source is also discussed. Direct current straight polarity and direct current reverse polarity is also discussed. Arc welding electrodes are discussed: consumable electrode, non-consumable electrode, bare electrode and coated electrode. Functions of electrode coating and the constituents of the coating are also discussed, so do not miss and watch the full video. For the next video in the lecture series, please click the suggested video link above.
Hello friends, welcome to this lecture 3 of a series of lecture on metal welding processes. In this lecture we will be having a brief introduction to arc welding processes. So arc welding is a class of welding process where we use a heat source that is an arc. The heat is generated from the arc, from an electrical arc, and that heat is used to melt the base metal and form a metal continuity. So there are several such processes which are based on the arc heating, like silted metal arc welding, SMAW, like gas metal arc welding, GMAW, like gas tungsten arc welding, GTAW. This nomenclature I am following is American Welding Society nomenclature. Then we have submerged arc welding, SAW, atomic hydrogen welding, plasma arc welding. So there are various types of arc welding processes, and most of the arc welding processes will be discussing. But before we go into the details of the processes, we should have some fundamental knowledge about what is arc, what is the physics of arc, what are different types of power sources, what is the electrode, what are different types of electrodes. So this knowledge are very fundamental to understanding of the different arc welding processes. So this lecture will be dealing with the fundamentals of arc welding. So we'll start with the physics of arc welding. So what is an arc? First we have to understand. Arc is basically a sustained electrical discharge across a gap of an cathode and anode in an electrical circuit. I repeat, an electrical arc is basically an sustained electrical discharge. The word sustained is very important because it is not a momentary, it is a continuous process. So a continuous arc is obtained across a gap. This gap is between a cathode and an anode in an electrical circuit. Okay, now here this gap is basically a air. The gap between the electrode and the workpiece is basically an air, and this air is basically, as you know, is a non-conductor of electricity. Now how to obtain a sustained discharge? That is very important for us to understand, and that's why we need to know the physics of arc welding, how the arc is sustained. Okay, how the arc is created, I have placed it slightly in the next few slides. We'll come to that later, but first let us discuss this sustenance of the arc welding, that is the physics of the arc welding. So again I repeat, an arc welding is basically an electrical discharge, and not only an electrical discharge, it's sustained electrical discharge that develops primarily due to flow of electrons and ions across the cathode and anode. The electrons moves towards the anode, and the positively charged ion moves towards the cathode, and the flow of current through the gap between the electron and workpiece needs a conducting medium. Now this conducting medium, which is basically a gap here, which is non-conductor, then how it becomes a conductor? Because it becomes a plasma. So plasma, as you know, a fourth state of matter, which is basically an ionized column of gas. Now for sustenance of the electrical discharge across this gap, the air column in between the cathode and anode has to be ionized, or it has to become a plasma, a sort of plasma where it becomes a good conductor of electricity, and there is a jump of electrons from the cathode to the anode, and you have a sustained electrical arc. So now these electrons are emitted because of various mechanisms. It can be a thermal emission combined with secondary emission, or it can be field emission combined with a secondary emission. So what is this thermal emission, field emission and secondary emissions we will be discussing in the later way, but for the time being you should understand that by some mechanisms electrons are emitted from the cathode and from other sources, and these electrons travels and strike the the anode, and the kinetic energy that is half mv square, mass being very less, the velocity being very high, so it releases a significant amount of energy. The heat generated by this arc is sufficient to melt the workpiece where it is striking. The density of the charged particle in the gap governs the electrical conductivity of the gaseous column. So the charged particle, the more the gas is ionized, the better is the conductor, and you have a better sustained arc if there is a more density of charged particles. Now, what happens in thermoionic emission or thermal emissions? So, when the cathode is heated, it emits electrode. Now, these electrodes are accelerated towards the anode. Now, as this accelerated electrode moves towards a non-conducting media, that is air, it strikes the atom, and what happens when it strikes the atom? Electrons are emitted from the atom, and it becomes charged particle, that is positively charged ions, and electrons are also emitted. This is called secondary emission. So the electrons emitting from the cathode due to the heat or the electrical field sorry, the heat generated in the cathode is called thermal emission, and this, because of the heating, the electrons are emitted from the cathode. This strikes the gaseous column, and again secondary emissions of electron takes place. The primary and the secondary electrons then strikes the anode, and the positively charged electrons moves towards the cathode. So therefore 2/3 of the heat is generated in the anode, and 1/3 of the heat is generated in the cathode. So this is the basic fundamentals or physics of the arc. Now obviously it is very clear that the emission of electrons is very important. Now, on what factors the emissions of electrons depends? Emissions of electron depends on two parameters, that is the work function and ionization potential. Now, what is this work function? The work function is the energy in terms of, normally expressed in electron volt or joule, required to get one electron released from the surface of the material. And what is ionization potential? Ionization potential is another measure of ability of the metal to emit electrons. Is defined as the energy that is required for moving an electron from an atom. So it is very important for us. This we can play with. Ionization potential varies from different material, like calcium, potassium, sodium. These have low ionization potential, about 2.1 electron volt, whereas for aluminum, iron, it's around 4 to 4.5 electron volt. Now, so what happens for sustenance of the electrons to be emitted, or sustenance of the arc, we have to have low potential elements, low ionization potential elements in the electrode or the cathode. So therefore, normally in submerged arc welding, in sealed metal arc welding, as a flux coating, as a coating of the electrode, we normally introduce this kind of materials like calcium, potassium, sodium, so that they can emit the ions and you have the better stable arc. So this is the importance of ionization potential. Now let's discuss how the arc is actually initiated. So the methods of arc welding, in arc initiation. So there are various methods. Two methods we will be discussing. One is touch stud method, which is most common. In touch stud method, what we do is that the electrode is brought in contact with the workpiece for a very short period of time and then released and then taken away. So what happens, as a touch, an electrical circuit is completed and electrons and current starts to flow, and because of high current, what happens, the electrode tip and the anode, the workpiece becomes heated, and because of heating, again thermal emission takes place. Because of heating, thermal emission takes place. This happens for a very short period of time, and because of the thermal emissions, and metal vapors are also formed, even melts, the metal in the tip melts and even vaporizes, and because of the gap of resistance to flow of electrons. So because of this resistance, the heat is generated, and the heat is sufficient to melt a little amount of metal from the electrode, and metal vapors are formed, and electrons are emitted from the cathode, again strikes these metal vapors, and again produces charged particles. So as a result, an arc is initiated. Now how this arc is maintained is again a different story, but arc is initiated by this process in this manner. So this is the figure. You touch it and then you remove it. So this is called touch start method. But touch start method has its own limitations. When you touch the electrode, essentially a part of the electrode is the cathode is melted and may get deposited in between the two metal pieces which you are joining. So that we don't require and that don't we want in many cases, like in gas tungsten arc welding. So the tungsten electrode, melting of the tungsten electrode and depositing of the deposition of the tungsten in between the two metal electrode two workpiece is absolutely unwanted. So you don't want that to be deposited. That decreases the quality of the or deteriorates the quality of the weld. So in such cases, you go for what we call field start. So what you do is that you establish a high strength electromagnetic field across the cathode and the anode, and which results in a thermoionic emission or electromagnetic field emission. Sorry, which results in a electromagnetic field emission. Electrons are emitted from the cathode and strikes the anode, and again further creating the secondary electrons. So this is particularly suitable for gas tungsten arc welding. Again, when you go for automation of welding processes like gas metal arc welding, you don't want this touch and withdrawal method. So you want to automate it. Therefore, again for automation, field start method is suitable. So these are two methods which are highly popular in as a popular method of initiation of the welding arc. This already I have discussed. Okay, arc blow will be discussing in in cylinder metal arc welding. So here let us discuss the fundamentals, are very basic, how arc welding works. So in arc welding, as you see, there has to be a power source, there has to be an electrode holder, and a workpiece. The workpiece is connected to one terminal, and the the electrode is connected to the another terminal. So AC and DC, both AC and DC can be used, and what we do is that we initiate an arc, and the heat generated by the arc is sufficient to melt the workpiece between the two joint metal between the two metal pieces, and weld continuity is obtained. Sometimes the electrode which is generating the arc melts, then we call it a consumable electrode, and sometimes the heat the arc and the electrode that generates the arc does not melt, like tungsten electrode. In such cases, it is called a non-consumable electrode. So electrode used in arc welding can be a consumable electrode, or it can be a non-consumable electrode. So if it is a consumable electrode, it normally has a coating, and the coating contains flux and other various materials which reacts with the impurities and forms slag, which are normally deposited on the top, which we will be discussing in cylinder metal arc welding later. But this coating, this consumable electrode may have coating or may not have coating also. This is the fundamental of arc welding. Okay, so equipment is arc welding power source, electrodes or welding rods, electrode holder, cables and cable connectors, earthing clamp, chipping hammer, safety goggles, apron, hand gloves. Safety goggles are very important. You should not watch arc welding with bare eyes or naked eyes. That will create a medical condition, and you will have a red eye, an extremely itchy eye, which is absolutely unwanted. Once I remember I have made a mistake, and I have till now I remember that. So please do not watch arc welding with naked eye. You have to wear safety goggles. So if your eye is exposed for a significant period of time to this arc, you will be in trouble maybe later on. So you require a power source, different power source. Earlier it used to be used welding transformer, a welding rectifier, welding generators, AC/DC. Nowadays we use inverter type IGBT welding power source, which can be we can DC, AC, or produce AC current, DC current, reverse polarity, state polarity, and IGBT stands for insulated gate bipolar transistor. I don't have much knowledge about the concept or technology of IGBT, but this much I understand, that IGBT or inverter type technology allows large variations of current and voltage. And another advantage of IGBT type welding power source is that we can play with the current, we can increase the power, we can increase the current at a particular point where when you require that the current should be high, amperage should increase. So that type of manipulations, and we can supply the current in a particular waveform we require for a particular welding process. So this type of manipulations in the current can be done by this type of welding sources. You might have heard inverter type AC, inverter type refrigerator. So the same technology used as a welding power source also. And this is the power source that is normally nowadays used in sealed metal arc welding. So this is generator we can use, this concept is very important. Direct current straight polarity and direct current reverse polarity. So direct current reverse polarity, the electrode, consumable electrode is made positive and workpiece is made negative. So this is a reverse polarity, or direct current electrode positive. So what happens here, the maximum heat is generated in the electrode and large amount of material is deposited here. Okay. Whereas less heat is generated here, whereas in direct current straight polarity more heat will be generated here and less heat will be generated in the electrode. Less heat will be generated in the electrode. So, so what happens? So you have a wider deep penetration in this case, whereas the penetration is less in this case. So in reverse polarity it is less penetration, in straight polarity it is more penetration. Remember this. So the bead normally in DC straight polarity you have much more depth, reverse polarity less depth, and in AC medium type, because it is continuously changing the polarity. AC transformer and AC transformer with rectifier. Okay, now this is very important. Welding power source. Now whatever power source you are using, the power source can be of two types. It can be constant current or constant voltage. Most of the power source are constant current type, because most of the techniques uses constant current, excepting gas metal arc welding where we mostly use constant voltage because of certain reason. So a constant current machine basically varies the output voltage and maintains the steady current. There is not much change in the current. Therefore, it is called constant current machine. Now, this is particularly required when you are using sealed metal arc welding or gas tungsten. In constant voltage machine is that the nature of the CV machine is required by the gas metal arc welding and flux core arc welding, because the welder is not able to control the arc length manually. Whereas in constant current, the operator can maintain the arc length manually. So if a welder attempted to use constant voltage machine to weld sealed metal arc welding, the small fluctuation in the arc distance would cause a wide fluctuation in the machine. So it is difficult to weld, that is gas metal arc welding or MIG welding, using a constant current source. So the curve is something like a sloping straight line. So constant voltage current is like this. However, although we call it constant voltage, is not constant, actually slightly dropping here because of the internal resistance of the circuit and in the induction of the circuit. Because of that, it slightly decreases. So what is important here is that even if we change the current, there won't much change in the voltage. Similarly, here is a drooping curve here. So if we change the current, there is not much change. If we change the voltage, there is much change in the current. Okay, so that is the constant current type and constant voltage type. So let me explain. In sealed metal arc welding, let me explain with this. Okay, so this is a constant voltage source. So constant voltage current is used in gas metal arc welding. So where there is a in gas metal arc welding, the it moves with a constant speed. Where bare electrode moves at a constant speed. So here what happens, even if there is a change in the current, the voltage does not changes much. Voltage does not change much. Okay, so that is the important here, and that's why it's called constant current voltage source. Whereas in a constant current type, what will happen? So when you are doing it manually, so then the length of the arc may increase or decrease. So what happens when the length of the arc increase or decrease, the voltage changes. Even if the voltage changes, there is not much change in the current, and as a result, the heat generated will be fairly constant, and constant amount of metal will be melted and deposited across the joint. So that is the importance of constant current. Most of the welding source is constant current, but only in case of this gas metal arc welding, where we will be using the constant voltage type. Constant voltage type. Okay, so when there is a change in the current, so even if there is a large change in the current, the voltage remains fairly constant. So the arc length is maintained. Or in a sense, if there is any change in the arc length, the current accordingly varies and the arc length is maintained. Okay, there is another concept called open circuit voltage. Okay, what is this open circuit voltage? Open circuit voltage in a welding power source is basically an important electrical characteristic in its operation. That means the open circuit voltage is the voltage that exists even if there is no current or zero current in the circuit. The voltage that is there in the circuit is called the open circuit voltage. Now this is very dangerous, because if there is a voltage, the chances of accident may occur. But power sources has open circuit voltage in order to establish the arc. The higher the open circuit voltage, easier it is to establish the arc. Okay, so normally for constant current power sources, the voltage source is around 90 to 80 ampere, whereas for constant voltage it is around 40-45. Okay, so you can decrease the open circuit voltage by using low ionization potential elements like potassium, sodium, calcium, etc., etc. So you can see here for open circuit voltage of a constant current is like this, is around 80, whereas for around constant voltage around 40-45. Okay, another important phenomena is that, so there is large fluctuation in case of constant current if you are decreasing the open circuit voltage. There is large change in the current, whereas a small change if the open circuit voltage is high. So that's it in today's lecture. Okay, this part is there. Okay, non-consumable electrode and consumable electrode will be discussing. A non-consumable electrode are those electrodes which do not get consumed during the welding process, but they are useful in generating the arc. And if you require to add additional material in between the two metal pieces, you have to add filler rods or welding rods. So the welding rod has to be melted and the metal has to be deposited between the two metal pieces which are joining. Some of the common type of welding which uses non-consumable electrode are carbon arc welding, atomic hydrogen welding, and tungsten inert gas welding or gas tungsten arc welding. So then we have consumable electrode. Consumable electrodes are those electrodes which get consumed by the arc itself, which it itself produces. Okay, I repeat, consumable electrodes are those electrodes which produces the arc, and by the same arc they themselves get consumed during the arc welding process. Those are called consumable electrode. Now this consumable electrode can be bare electrode and can be coated electrode. In gas metal arc welding and submerged arc welding we use bare electrode, whereas for sealed metal arc welding we use coated electrode. Now this coating contains several things which we will be discussing in subsequent slides, and this coating can be light coated or it can be heavy coated. So light coated and heavy coated are defined by the ratio of the diameter of the core diameter and the total diameter of the electrode. I repeat, the ratio determines whether it is light coated or heavily coated between the diameter of the core wire and the total diameter of the electrode. Okay, now what are the functions of this coating? The several functions. The coating is very important because they serve several purposes. One is to protect the weld from atmospheric oxygen by introducing the flux in the molten metal. There are several elements like potassium, calcium, sodium, titanium, titanium oxides, etc., which stabilizes the arc. It provides the flux. creates gas envelope and protects from atmospheric oxygen, adds alloying element, concentrates the arc, reduces metal spatter, acts as an insulator. Sometimes when you are if the metal is conducting, so if you are welding between joint, the the coating is normally non-conducting and it acts as an insulator. These are the functions of the electrode coating. And what are the constituents? It consists of slag, slag formation, arc stability, deoxidizing agents, and various other agents and binding materials. So the list is like this: arc stabilizers, various types of arc stabilizers are there. These are some of the coating materials. So in details you can find it in this particular slide. I am not going into the chemical composition. It varies from company to company what type of what is the chemical composition of the coating. Okay, so with this we come to the end of this lecture. In the next lecture we'll be discussing about Silhouette metal arc welding. Thank you for watching.